Hello, welcome to Dungeoneers Pack, a channel bringing you player-focused discussions and character guides for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Josh, thank you for watching. Joining the stable of monk subclasses is a subclass that broadens a class fantasy to include Western European themes. The Way of Mercy monk turns our martial artist into a plague doctor that can use their fists to heal or cause harm. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the Way of Mercy monk's defining features, discuss ways you can use the themes of the subclass to develop your character, provide some ways you can reflavor the subclass, and give you some ideas on how you can play the Way of Mercy monk in the official 5th edition settings. With that said, let's get started. The Way of Mercy monk's key features attempts to combine the Plague Doctor themes from popular culture with the defining features found in the monk's toolkit. Implements of Mercy will give a character the visual aesthetic and additional proficiencies to really nail down that Plague Doctor flavor. Hands of Healing and Hands of Harm let the monk heal allies or deal additional damage to an enemy. First, let's take a look at Implements of Mercy. The feature will give our monk proficiency with the insight and medicine skills, along with proficiency with the herbalism kit. In addition, our character would get a mask that can take on any appearance we like, but has no mechanical function. Implements of Mercy provides the proficiencies necessary to help the monk adopt the Plague Doctor character fantasy. It's a bit of a missed opportunity for the mask to not serve any mechanical function or gain additional bonuses from any other feature from the subclass. The mask is there for pure flavor. The proficiencies help the subclass capture the flavor of an academic healer while not tying us down to the idea. Hand of Healing and Hand of Harm are the bread and butter mechanics for this subclass that further get enhanced by the rest of the subclass's features. Despite similar names, both features are activated in different ways. We can spend a key point to restore hit points to an ally with Hand of Healing. Hand of Healing can also trigger off Flurry of Blows, allowing us to replace one of the 2 unarmed strikes we make to restore hit points to a creature next to us. Hand of Harm, on the other hand, can be used anytime we make an unarmed strike. We could spend a key to deal additional necrotic damage once per turn. The features provide additional uses for our key and tap into the balance of life and death theme of the subclass. In the earlier levels, these features can be a bit of a resource hog. As a monk, we really want to be spending our key on Flurry of Blows to increase our damage per round. We can circumvent the resource problem in the earlier levels if we choose feats like Mobile or races that increase movement speed so we don't have to spend key points on Step of the Wind. When we hit level 11 and pick up the Flurry of Healing and Harm feature, our key resource management is no longer an issue. We can use Hand of Harm in place of one of our attacks from Flurry of Blows, just like Hand of Healing. Now let's take a look at the themes of the subclass. The most obvious theme of the Way of the Mercy monk is the Plague Doctor. In the 14th century, a Plague Doctor would treat victims that had fallen ill to the bubonic plague. Even though we are given the skill and tool proficiencies that can be attributed to physicians, the other features of this subclass don't line up with the historical inspiration. Instead, the subclass features are inspired by the Plague Doctor's depictions generally seen in video games. The features combine the aesthetics of the Plague Doctor with the historical context and video game interpretations to associate the subclass with the ability to manipulate life and death. In order to play a character inspired by the historical identity of the Plague Doctor, consider using the Sage background. The Sage background paired with the proficiencies gained with Implements of Mercy will help you achieve being a character who has spent their life in the academic field prior to adventuring. In video games, Plague Doctors are often depicted as being able to whip up potions or other alchemical based items, so consider taking proficiency with alchemist supplies. As previously mentioned, the Plague Doctor in popular culture is associated with death, which brings us to the next theme for this subclass, Mortality. The subclass's features allow us to heal our allies or deal additional necrotic damage to our enemies. The ability to wield negative and positive energies would make our character a harbinger of death and equally a defender of life. This subclass shares a similar theme with the Grave Cleric. Both subclasses can have a character straddle the realms between life and death. We can use the theme of mortality to influence our character's perspective on the life cycle. They could understand that death is part of the natural order. Consider using the Acolyte or Faction Agent backgrounds. The character could be a follower of a god of death or part of an agency that pursues evil undead beings. While the Way of Mercy begins to include Western European ideas into the monk class, let's take a look at some ways we can reflavor the subclass. One way to reflavor this subclass is to take inspiration from the level 6 feature Physician's Touch and play an assassin skilled with poisons. Physician's Touch can put a creature under the poison condition when using the Hand of Harm feature. This ability, in addition to the monk's entire toolkit, really lends itself to the assassin character fantasy. Consider taking the spy variant of the criminal background and the poisoner feat to help support this idea. Another way to reflavor this subclass is to deviate from the Western European influence and bring it back to the martial arts flavor of the class. We can use the Way of Mercy monk to play a martial artist with the ability to inflict harm, exploiting pressure points. Each attack using Hand of Harm is your character targeting a pressure point on the enemy to immobilize them. Hand of Healing could reflect your character understanding which parts of the body to touch to relieve pain. There is no need to take additional mechanics to play this idea out, as the subclass's mechanics can accomplish this alone. Now let's take a look at some character ideas for the Way of Mercy monk that fit into the official 5th edition settings. In Forgotten Realms, we could be a traveling doctor for the Church of Kelemvor. We travel from town to town treating the sick and remove any supernatural being causing the illness. In Eberron, we could be a halfling with a dragon mark of healing from House Jurasco. We have been sent by our house to investigate an unknown illness that has been afflicting survivors of the Day of Mourning. In Ravnica, we could be an assassin for the Golgari Swarm with the ability to manipulate the life cycle. We use these abilities to further our guildmaster's goals. And finally, in Theros, we could be a champion of the god Athreos, sent on a mission to hunt those who have attempted to evade eternity in the underworld. The Way of Mercy Monk pairs a cool aesthetic with a healing capable subclass. Even though the subclass is influenced by plague doctors from the 14th century, the overall mechanics do not tie you down to the idea. Giving the character a mask for roleplay purposes is fun, but I feel it's a missed opportunity to have it provide some mechanical benefit. Hand of Healing and Hand of Harm can really eat up your key usage in the early levels, but as we continue to level into the subclass, this issue fades away. The healing provided by Hand of Healing is relative in power to a first level casting of Cure Wounds or Healing Word, and eventually can act as a lesser restoration spell. The feature can't be used to get a teammate up to their maximum hit points, but can restore small amounts to your allies to keep them in the fight. The Way of Mercy continues the design trend for the monk having subclass features that trigger off the use of Flurry of Blows in order to maintain the monk's average damage per round. If you're looking to play a monk that can also be a secondary healer for your party, then the Way of Mercy monk is the one for you. With that said, I want to hear from you. What do you think of the Way of Mercy Monk? Let me know down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, I drop a video every week, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Are you looking for a subclass that will let you use the power of giants to smash your enemies? Check out my video on the Rune Knight Fighter. You can click on the video on the screen to see the new features a subclass can bring to your table, and how you can fit it into the official 5th edition settings. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.